How's it going, everybody? This is JTech95, and today we have a very special guest with us. This is TechJesse. He runs a retro computer channel, a lot like mine. And yeah, we got him on the channel today, and we're going to be doing a collab here.
Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, no problem. So, what got you into retro computing?
Yeah, so I was a gamer in the late '90s, like so many others were, and yeah, about 20 years went by where I wasn't too much into the retro stuff. You know how it is. They
Mm-hmm.
would keep upgrading our computers. The old ones get thrown away, and actually a couple years ago, I went to the dump and I saw I was unloading a load of trash and saw an old 386 case sitting there and a CRT, and I was like, let me go ask the guy, and I said, hey, do you mind not seeing me take that? He's like, I don't care, and so I threw it in the truck and got it home and opened it up, and it was actually a Pentium 133 in a 386 case. That's it behind me that you can see there, and
Okay.
I got it all cleaned up. It just needed a new CMOS battery, and I, loaded some old games on it, and I thought, hey, this is gonna be fun. And of course, then I needed a second one so I could network it with, and so it started to have babies, unfortunately, and so now I've got 10, and it's definitely a hobby that's taken over much of my life in the last year. But I'm having a blast with it. I'm meeting other friends, and thought, you know what, I want to start documenting some of the repairs that I'm doing, and so I built a full-on repair lab in the back of my warehouse, and yeah, just really it's tremendous fun getting these things, taking something that's dead and making it alive. So I'm learning how to
Indeed.
replace capacitors, finding channels like your own that go through how to fix these things up, and it's been a long time for me, so I'm having to refresh how to do some of these things. But I never learned the hardware side of things, so it's neat. I finally learned how to replace capacitors, and that's such a big part of these old machines, getting them to stay alive, or those capacitors keep blowing. But
Indeed. Yeah, the
it's not too hard.
No, it's not too hard once you really get into the swing of things. The guy that really got me into fixing the motherboards like capacitors and traces and things like that is my buddy Mike over at his channel Calculate. I've had him in a couple of videos before, and he is the one who pointed me towards Necroware. Um, another
Necroware.
another YouTuber. His whole channel is about repairing things. Like he has repaired some old motherboards that I personally, before seeing what is possible with them, I would have just as soon been like, this is junk. But he does some fantastic videos. And that's what got me brave enough to attempt fixing that leading edge or leading technologies PC partner in a couple videos back. And that was stressful. I can tell you what. It looked like it got dropped in a flooded basement for like 10 years.
But isn't it great though once it's all restored, getting to play some games on it? I mean,
It is.
it's so much fun. I got two boys, so of course I'm doing it for my kids. That's what I tell my wife, that hey, no, it's for the kids. And it's funny, they come in though and they'll play a game for a few minutes. Dad, it's too hard. The old games are a lot more challenging, that's for sure.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, the games that we played when we were younger, they actually made you think, and I guess best way to put it, they made you get good. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you had
Yeah.
to. There was no, oh, you'll respawn in this point if you die, or there's 10 power ups in every single room, or something like that. No, it was like Doom, for example. You're gonna walk into this room. There's gonna be 10 cacodemons flying around, 15 imps, 3 shotgunners, and they're gonna be 2 barons of hell coming out of the corner, and all you've got is a shotgun. Have fun.
Right, right. Or you go farther back, like Contra, some of the
Oh yeah.
Nintendo games and arcade games. Yeah, you get hit by the bullet and it's like game over. So what's the lesson? Life is tough, kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. They were super challenging.
even
And
farther back, let's talk Pac-Man. You
yep,
you
yep.
you couldn't pause the ghosts. You couldn't pause the game. You couldn't do anything like that. You basically had to just keep going until you got all the dots. And
But
that's
they're fun. I mean,
yes,
you don't have to have fancy graphics. I think Minecraft has proven that you don't need amazing graphics to have a great game. That's the best-selling game ever, still
absolutely.
unthroned. I mean, it's hands down the highest grossing, and they yeah, look at it. It's like looks like 16 or well 32-bit stuff.
Yeah, when Minecraft first came out, I was like, this looks like a game that would have came out for like Windows 98.
Yeah,
But then I
but
got into it and I was like, wow, this is
but
actually
it's so
really
great.
good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's really great. You
It's
could, I mean, I could just sit
fantastic.
there mining and crafting, and yeah, it's like it just. And then I look at the clock. I'm like, how did 2 hours go by? Ah, I gotta stop this.
it's
So
it's it's like it's
yeah,
like playing with Legos but on your computer.
yeah, yeah. It's the old games are great. Yeah, I started modding games in the late '90s. And
Okay.
Duke Nukem came out in 1996, and that's one of my all-time favorite games. I made that top 10 video game, 90s video game video where I talk a little bit more in depth about it. But that it's the game that I've played more than any other game. I mean, it's I've spent so much time working on different modifications for it. I remember the first mod that I did of it was actually of my high school, where I was 14 years old, and I turned it into my high school meets Wolfenstein. And so me and some buddies got together, and we, I mean, it was mainly me putting it all together, but I had some help, and we were taking pictures. I remember the school lent me the digital camera, which in 1997 was a big deal to use a digital camera. I mean, that
Oh
was,
yeah.
but they were all encouraging it. They were saying, "Oh, this is awesome! Yeah, we want to encourage you to make this game." And I was thinking it was going to be like it was going to be you have to do a senior project, and so I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll do my senior project my freshman year and be done with it, and maybe I could write the thesis or whatever on violence in video games." And so I made I finished it early 1998, about a week before Columbine happened. And
Oh.
so it was, but it was a great game. Sadly, it's lost to history, but I had the whole school mapped out with the same textures that were actually. I'd take a picture of a wall or a trash can, and it was they were. I totally modified Duke, and there were no students in the game. It was just where the story was Nazis had taken over the school, and you have to go and fight the Nazis and take back the school and save the school. So I had just taken some old Wolfenstein sprites and put them in the middle of it, and I think it was yeah, it's either Wolf or Rise of the Triad. But I'd put these Nazis running around, and yeah, you're just shooting Nazis, and so yeah, I actually got kicked out of the school for a semester. For it, they were like, "We need to make an example of this kid." I'm like, "You lent me the camera," and that was
Right.
you were all supportive of it before, and
It
it's funny,
was
that was what they got me on, was the camera. It was they said misuse of, school equipment, and, it was just such a oh, hey, thinking about it now, 20, whatever years later almost. It's like, no more than that. That was yeah, it's, 25 years later.
Yeah,
It's
they
still,
it was a
yeah, it made me mad.
it was a different time back then. You know, you could get away with a lot more, but it was just it was more simplistic back then. You know, you could you could kind of express, what you wanted to do in a game a little bit more than you can now. And I think that's a lot of what gives some of these old games their charm is just the sheer uncut, content. Just
Yeah, they were
like
simple, and it's like, yeah, they now, I don't know, and, online gaming, I think, kinda ruined a lot of the experience, especially when they started doing the in-app purchases and random
mhm,
crap like that, where you have to subscribe to things, or you need the internet to even turn it on. I mean, there's things that really ruined a lot of games, and
mhm,
yeah, it's just and everything's digital too. You have no hard copy of it, and yeah, a lot of reasons to do the retro gaming. But yeah, I didn't let that discourage me. A couple years later, when September 11th happened, I started the game Quest for Al Qaeda, which we'll play today, and
okay.
that was a, a I mean, it was the response. I mean, it was just a silly little game, and the response was just so surprising to see that in 2002, if I released it in February, so a few months after 9/11, and and it got 2 million downloads that year. I mean,
Wow.
it was for early 2000s downloadable game. It was it was a hit. I mean, it got
Mhm.
me. it really taught me a lot about how the world is not just you being thrown into random happenings. It's like you could actually control the world around you. I learned so much about marketing and about uh, people, about business. I mean, just being able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, uh, do you want to do a story on this?" Like Wired magazine was one of them. I got it framed behind me. The
Oh, no
where I said,
fooling. Hey, that's
"Yeah,"
cool.
I called up Wired magazine and I was like, "Hey, I got this game. Do you want to do a story on it?" And they were like, "Sure." And it's like it's stuff like that that I was 18 years old and I didn't. I mean, as a kid, you don't really realize. I mean, it took that experience to realize just how much control you actually have of your destiny. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, it was really I use those skills later on in business to do sales, but uh, yeah, it's like why can't you just call somebody and book an interview? A few years later, I came out with Quest for Saddam, which was the sequel. It didn't do so well. That game was we rushed it out in just a few weeks, and it was not that great. But I called up MSNBC and was like, "Hey, do you want to do an interview?" And they were like, "Sure." So I got on MSNBC again. I mean,
Yeah.
it was yeah, because the original I'd been on MSNBC for the original game,
Hmm.
but that was a couple years later. But yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. That it was just really cool to be able uh, to feel like I had some control of what happens here. And then when you're actually selling something, it was yeah, when I started my own business in technology as well, it, it it's it transferred. You call up people, high executives, and just say, "Hey, you want to buy this thing?" Hey, it's just like you can actually control it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to play a short clip of that interview for Quest for Al Qaeda
sure.
here, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, the hunt for Al Qaeda has moved from the battlefield now to the computer screen. Jesse Petrilla has developed a computer game called Quest for Al Qaeda, where you can hunt down Osama Bin Laden, and he joins us now live. Jesse, good to see you.
Hi, Chris. It's good to be here.
How did you come up with the idea for this game?
Well, after September 11th, I was angry as most Americans were, and there really wasn't an outlet to express my anger. And so I developed this computer game just to give Americans something to make them feel a little bit better. Everyone seems pretty helpless. And I'm giving it away for free on my website at www.quest.shorturl.com. It's a first-person shooter where you go through caves. It's all 3D, and you track down Al Qaeda, Osama's Al Qaeda cronies, and eventually you end up face to face with Osama himself.
And when you started playing the game and the feedback you've gotten, what do you get out of it? You just sort of this cathartic feeling that, I don't know, everybody wants to get him, and this is sort of your chance to do it, even if it's only on a computer screen?
Well, I'm giving it away for free. I never intended on it becoming this successful, but
How successful is it? How many hits are you getting?
it's crazy. It's off the charts, and there's so many different sites that have it on their servers as well. And I don't want to profit off of September 11th in any way. There's no advertisements on my website, and I'm not charging anything for it. And it just gets my name out there. I grew up on Microsoft, and I definitely, after college, intend to start my own computer games company. I'm hoping to earn an internship with some software company, some major software company, and eventually start my own gaming company. And this establishes a name for myself, and people like what they see. I've gotten amazing responses from people saying they absolutely love my game. There really isn't much that we can do right now except for just respect one another and live our lives and as Americans live them and enjoy our freedom.
So yeah, that's really neat, man, that you got to get an interview on MSNBC about your game. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny how that one came to be where I had called up the local newspaper, the Sacramento Bee, and they ran a little small one paragraph thing in the business section that talked about the game, and I think it was up to like 5,000 downloads at that time.
Mm.
And then the local news affiliate, NBC, saw that and did the I had uh, I received a call from them, and then it was the next day that MSNBC somebody called. I didn't really know what MSNBC was. I knew that it was some big network, but I'd never seen it. And
Wasn't it a collaboration between Microsoft and
right,
NBC?
yes, yes. So I got a call from someone at MSNBC. They said, "This is so and so at MSNBC. Would Lester? Would you like to do an interview with Lester Holt tomorrow?" And I don't have a copy of that one. It was by
Oh,
phone only. But they I thought it was like some friends pranking me or something. I didn't know what it was, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do the interview. And I remember they're like, okay, he'll call you. I think it was actually, yeah, it was the next morning, and they were like, okay, we'll call you in like 15 minutes. It was pretty quick turnaround from that call, saying, can you do the interview to the interview itself? And so they called, and they're like, we're joined live by Jesse Petrilla, creator of Quest for Al Qaeda, and I told a little bit about the game, and I gave the game's website. And I remember I had it loaded up in front of me at the time, and the traffic that I was tracking, and just by saying it, it went from like a few hundred people on the website to tens of thousands, and I was like what the heck?
so
Like
it's like
that? Like this is live. This is real.
it was
Like
like it was like watching a live stream counter, but back then.
yeah, and it was totally like what the heck. And I think by the end of the day, it had 100,000 people hit that site, and it was just like wow, this is pretty cool. And yeah, it really got the gears working, just making me thinking, okay, this is maybe I could do something here. I never was able to monetize making video games, unfortunately. That was my dream as a kid, to make games. I went to school for computer science, and about halfway through, I didn't want anything to do with it. It was just too tedious programming, and the people that are in that industry were not as social as I am for the most part. It was not. I don't think I could spend my life sitting in a cubicle. That was
No.
not for me, and that was kind of what I realized that I would have to do for at least the first large part of my career if I were to get into that. And so yeah, I ended up starting my own thing. I actually went in the army, did my own quest for Al Qaeda. I went to Afghanistan, and it was
Wow.
yeah, it was and then decided to get back into games just a couple years ago.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, by the way. I wanna let you know, like, we appreciate what you did over there.
Thank you. Well, I didn't do much. Plenty of folks did more than I. It was a strange mission, but no, I mean, I really uh, I felt like I had to do something after 9/11, and this
Mhm.
was just some cathartic. Yeah,
I
I had
remember
tremendous fun.
I was almost 5 years old during that whole thing, and I just remember, just it seemed like all America went quiet for a good little while, and that was rough as a little kid. But I got older, and looking back, I was like, you know what, we did the best we could in the months and years that followed, and getting back to kind of a somewhat norm after that. And I think people like you with your game, that really helped get Americans kind of back into kind of more of a calm state of mind, because like you said in the interview, it gave people, it was kind of a kickback, and be able to, you feel like you're being able to do something, take out your frustration.
Yeah, it was fun because yeah, most people can't go over there and fight, and it's not an option. And the this was just kind of a fun thing. I remember there was another one somebody else made that was there was Bin Laden liquors. I remember that one where you're shooting Bin Laden there. There was another one where you just beat up. It was just punch Bin Laden, and these were flash games. And
Oh yeah.
I remember those. They were super popular.
Yeah, there's still
And
some games out there that are kind of like that now. You don't see them as much anymore with, the way the world is, but
yeah, unfortunately, with political correctness, I mean, I don't, but I don't know who's actually subscribing to political correctness. That's the thing. Is the
Mm.
mainstream uh, video game publishers pretty much always have. Well, for the most part, you have Shadow Warrior, which is one of my favorite games, and super politically correct, where it's starring Lil Wang. Ooh, onto some Wang. And
I
yeah,
love
you got.
that game.
I mean,
I
it's
love
just
that
totally
game.
great, super politically incorrect, but who cares? Because nobody's actually offended. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just totally it's hilarious, and Yeah, the voice actor of that, who wasn't even Asian, he was some white guy. He actually just passed away about a
Oh,
year or two ago, I heard. But yeah, I saw his picture, and yeah, it's like okay,
yeah, I loved
some
playing
people would
that
be.
game. Loved playing that game, and I liked the little and you saw this a lot in games back then where they would sneak in, characters from other games just for a cheap laugh, like in Blood you had Jason Voorhees' mask and whatever, and then Doom you had little Commander Keen's being hung from the ceiling.
Oh, I did miss that. Yeah, I
Yep,
remember
there's
Duke
a
Nukem where you're going through one of the tunnels and you come across the Space Marine, and he goes,
yep.
"That's one doomed Space Marine."
Yeah, yeah, the Doom one, it was one of the hidden levels where you could play through a map of Wolfenstein and you had to fight a cyber demon at the end.
Oh,
And
awesome!
if you
Yeah.
went into the door behind the cyber demon, there was four little Commander Keens hanging
Ah,
from the ceiling, and then
it was made by the same guys too. That
mhm.
was John Romero made a lot of those things, and some of the others. There was Tom Hall also worked on Commander Keen, and he was a Duke.
Yes,
He was a I don't know if he. Yeah, I know they were all tied in with Scott Miller and
with
and those
Apogee.
folks with
Yep,
Apogee. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Before they started id. Yeah,
And
there was. Yeah, so many great games back in the '90s. I mean, just the golden era of video gaming, in my opinion.
oh, me
I love
too.
playing it on original hardware. There's nothing like that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the emulators are getting better though, and
Yes,
sadly, that's going to be the only viable option in the decades coming because
yes, because
these old hardware is finite, and every day they're being e-wasted, and that yeah, and it's just and the younger folks don't care to save the stuff. I mean, I'm just doing it
mhm,
for fun and to learn about electronics
yeah.
and to reminisce with a nostalgia aspect. But yeah, kiddos will throw the stuff away and it'll be worthless.
Absolutely, and that's the sad fact that eventually, yeah, these old machines like the one behind you or the one behind me or any of the others in our collection, they're not going to last forever. Yes, they'll probably last longer than the new stuff a lot of companies are making
Right.
now cuz I feel like back then they actually gave a crap about making them like solid and robust, but eventually the time will come, sadly, that these machines will never work again. But
Yeah, when there's a problem in the integrated circuit and they just aren't making the ICs anymore, I mean, there's little things that can go wrong that, yeah, it's just and eventually, I mean, things will become corroded beyond repair or what
mhm,
have you, and people just won't care about repairing them. That's the thing, and that's what I'm trying to help with our channel, with my channel, and yours. If yeah, I mean, there's the community is really trying to encourage people. It's good to see folks that maybe didn't grow up in the '90s that are interested in this too, like yourself, that just understand how freaking great that era was for gaming. I mean, it was just
absolutely.
so much fun. I mean, there's really there was the dark ages of gaming, in my opinion, in the late 2000s, where there was a handful of good games that came out in that decade, but it just nothing compared to like 1995 to 2005. I mean, there was just
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean that window had just. I mean, you're talking Duke Nukem, you're talking Max Payne and Half Life. I mean, just
Half-Life,
just
yeah.
so many great games that
Yeah.
that came out
And
during that
and
time.
and to a lesser extent there's games like Forsaken. I never got into that one. I played it a few times, but it just
I'm not familiar with that one.
it felt like a half-baked Half-Life.
Hmm. Yeah, there was. I was disappointed. They started coming out with Half-Life episodes. Remember 1 and 2, and there was
Mhm.
never a 3, and it was just kind of. I don't know what they're gonna do with the franchise, but I don't know. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything as of late.
Is it-
I've been hearing more about these groups that were really trying to get them to finish. Well, I know they finished Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah,
Yeah,
they finished
unfortunately,
it
they
all
they
right,
they
but
kind of blew it. Yeah,
yeah, but
on
there's
that one.
groups that are wanting them to redo it.
Yeah,
But
that would be cool. And I know there are somebody got a hold of I think Apogee or 3D Realms, the same company, but they released the source for the unfinished version from 1997 or whenever it was when they started they started making it in the late 90s,
I
and it
didn't know
was
that.
yeah, and so somebody is working on finishing it,
Okay.
and so because yeah, I think the problem with the new one is they went too new, and it lacked the feel of Duke Nukem, and it was just shoot the bad guys, and it didn't really I don't know, it wasn't Duke. It didn't
No.
feel like Duke. Just like it felt like a poor remake of one of the Quake series or something.
Yeah,
Because yeah, you
that's
can't. Yeah, it just didn't feel as fun. That
no,
was
not
is
at
an
all.
unfortunate way. In fact, there's a funny thing that I put because Duke Nukem Forever had not come out yet when Quest for Al Qaeda came out, and we had been waiting since 1997 or six, whenever they announced it, and I think it was seven. But uh, uh, when you're in Osama bin Laden's palace in one of the levels, and you have to go down, and you go down some stairs that you find crates of Duke Nukem Forever, and he says, and the player goes, "Aha! So this is where it's been hiding."
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I I was playing Quest for Al Qaeda a little bit last night because I had
I
never
think it's like
played it
level
before.
4 or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I had never played it before, and from that news video, I remember you saying that it's you weren't trying to profit off it. It was free to download.
yeah, and
Well,
I mean, it was cheesy. It was filled with all kinds of just cheesy little jokes in there, and super not politically correct. I mean, the
oh
bad
yeah.
guys literally run around going "Huma nama nama, huma nama nama nama."
Oh, and
Yeah.
yeah, and just for the viewers out there, we're not being hateful toward any groups or anything like that. We just don't like terrorists. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. But what's hilarious is that it's the same thing that because political correctness doesn't exist in the Middle East. It's
Mm-hmm.
really an American and maybe a Western European
Yeah.
some extent concept.
Yeah, you
And
don't see that in most parts of Asia, Africa,
no,
Australia.
they got
Really,
more important things to worry about, and they don't
yeah,
care. And it's
yeah.
funny because I created another game that was called Durka 3D, and it was the quest for Ahmadinejad, right when he was having all the in Iran when they were rioting against him and protesting, and I put it online. It didn't get really any kind of traction in America, and I'm looking at the downloads, and it was so funny, and I don't know like how this came to be, but overwhelming. I'm talking 90% plus of the downloads were inside Iran, and it was like, and I started getting all these emails from people from Iran saying, "Great game, this is great. We hate that dude, and this is awesome, hilarious." And I was like, "Did you play it?" Like this is because it was super. It was the same. I actually used the same audio file for the bad guys. Huma, huma, huma.
I
But they
caught
don't
that.
care. There's no
Yeah.
politically correct. It's not offensive. It's
No,
funny. It's
no.
silly.
It's just
It's
it's
just
just it's
yeah.
just funny. I mean, it'd be no different than if you put like a fat American white dude from Texas,
Yeah, and
and
they're
there
going
he
ooga
go.
booga boo doo boo doo boo
Yeah,
doo boo doo
and he
boo,
was
like whatever
walking
English
through.
sounds like. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's but they're but it's like nobody's gonna be like, oh, I can't believe it. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
they put the bad guy with a cell phone in one hand and a coke in the other, and it's like nobody's gonna be. Yeah, it's just people that I think
They have nothing better to do
yeah,
but
nothing better to do
complain.
but get offended, and it's like but it's almost never the people that are the butt of the joke that are the offended ones. It's somebody that's choosing to champion them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's but no, I mean it's not offensive. It's satire. That's the thing. It's
Yes,
like
there's
this
a
is
big
satire,
difference. There's
and
a
there's a big
big
difference because
difference.
yeah, you're not criticizing somebody for an ethnicity or something like that. You're doing satire against terrorists, and
Yes.
what this is. And so the
Yep.
bad guys you're fighting are all clones of Bin Laden,
Mm-hmm.
and they're it's just really a yeah, it's the quest for Al Qaeda. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're yeah,
Well,
that's
I'm glad the game was free because I pirated it.
Yeah.
I had to put it on a disc to put on this 486 of mine to try it out, and that was another thing. Good job on getting a build engine game to run well on a 486. Duke Nukem, no problem. I mean, if you have a strong enough DX266, it'll run. But the other ones, Shadow Warrior and Blood, fat chance. You need at least a DX4 100 or even better, a Pentium.
Right.
This one you made, it ran phenomenally well. And granted, I couldn't run it in VESA local mode because it crashed the system. It's just too much for this thing. But I was able to run it in, the basic 320 by 200 or whatever. And
it looks better in that anyway. It's more retro style. That's
yes, I liked that. The one part, the whole game was amazing. The one thing that creeped me out for a quick second was when I first saw the camel. I was like, what is that?
You know what's funny?
The pixels were like brown and red, and I'm like,
is it a bad guy?
I was like, what is that? And it's making like, and I'm like,
that was my voice.
Camel.
I was the voice of the camel too. Let's see if I could do it.
That's it.
And it was a stuffed toy camel that I had that I put it up, and I took it from different angles and then made it fall over and took pictures of it from different angles and edited it, and it was
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was the camel. But I think the reason why it runs good is because it was a watered down version of Duke Nukem.
Okay.
I took Duke and I ripped so many graphics out of it to make the file size smaller. Because remember, at that time in February 2001, the internet was not as fast as it is today. That's for sure. And so a 16 megabyte game was still would take a minute to download. And
yes.
Yeah, and I had to keep get the art, as much of it deleted as possible from Duke, and it was we took a bunch of the sound files out and different things, and just it was just a rip of Duke. And at the time, it was interesting. I sent an email to Scott Miller, who was pretty much over the engine for the time being. Little did he know that retro would come back, but they weren't planning on doing anything with build in 2001. And so I asked him, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I distribute this thing? Like, and he actually sent an email. It was, I think it was one word. He just responded with sure. So
he didn't care.
He didn't care. And yeah, and it was, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it was, since I wasn't selling it or anything. I mean,
yeah.
It was.
And then the creator of the build engine, Ken Silverman, he's been really cool about it too. He's basically, he has the source code for his game he made way back, Ken's Labyrinth, source port and everything. So pretty much he's kind of said, anybody wants to use this and build a game, whatever, all this stuff, go for it. It was just early this year, late last year. Somebody found the original source port for Blood.
Oh, awesome.
That's been like the holy grail of build engine stuff for a long time, and finally somebody found it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I'm going to have to try that sometime. But
yeah, they just came out with a build game in 2019, Ion Fury. I don't know if
Ion Fury. That was fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good. It was there's a guy made eDuke 32. Which was a port of the build engine for modern computers and a little better graphics. It supported, I think a dynamic lighting and things like that. But it still has that old retro feel, though. It's really great.
So let me mount up this folder into DOSBox. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm using DOSBox because I'm lazy. I know many YouTubers like Civi11 would be giving me crap for this, but I don't care. It works. So let's see. Mount that. All right, here we are. Quest for Al-Qaeda. I can already see that this is made on the build engine. It looks, just the title screen reminds me of a Duke or Shadow Warrior clone. Should be all set. Sounds cool. Duke talk on and off.
Oh, it still says Duke Talk. That's funny.
Yep, Duke Talk, Ambiance, Flip Stereo.
Yeah, there was still a few remnants. In fact, it was a remake of because right before 9/11 happened, I started to make a pirate-themed game. Remember in the late 90s when it was around 2001? What was it? Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
Was what? Oh, actually, that was looks like 2003. I don't know what it was, but there's something pirate related was out, and I started making a pirate game, and it was really that was, to be honest, that's a game that I would love to finish. It was in the build engine. It was called Plunder and Pillage, and I'm sure you can still find it out there somewhere. But it was never finished. It was 3 levels, very cheesy. Full of ripped graphics and things that was just me learning how to make games for the most part. But I started to make that, and then when 9/11 happened, I just pivoted, and that was a modification of Duke, and this was a modification of a mod. So you still have, in fact, if you press the tilde button, maybe it's 1. I don't remember which one it is, but the one it still has the pirate sword. I replaced the Duke kick.
Okay.
With the pirate, and I think he still says R when he does it. It says R.
Oh, well, let's try that out. Let's see. The quest. Fun shooting, break a sweat, die Osama, and let's do. You know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's do the third one. I heard your voice in there. Oh. Wow. This looks even better than on the 486. I mean, yeah, it looked more retro on the 486, but this is smooth.
Awesome.
Let's see, got some ammo pickups here. Oh, here we go. Our first terrorist. Now, how did you design the, I remember you said that you made the camel based on a stuffed animal, and I'm killing the camel, because it's just what you do. How did you design the, enemy sprites?
Yeah, the enemies, it was I forgot what I modified for those, but there were so many first-person shooter games out there. I think I just opened something up and modified it. I don't remember where that one came from,
Okay.
but it may have been the villager in a modification of the villager from Strife or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was based off another one where I just outlined it and just redid it, because yeah, I mean, it was so cheesy, so quickly done. I just threw it together and was just messing with different graphics as quickly as I could to get this thing out there, and
Oh, and I just died.
oh.
I like the hand with the pipe bomb texture. Did you take that from Blood?
I think I did, yeah. So don't tell the makers of Blood that.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that's just a random texture we
like,
found
yeah,
out somewhere.
Yeah, but no,
It's actually kind of hard. They take a lot of health off you.
Yeah, and it's funny, the most powerful weapon I think is actually the sword, but it fit with the kind of the feel of the game, the sword as one of the weapons. But no, I think I accidentally too. I accidentally left Duke Nukem's shotgun in there too, that you can get somewhere in the game, and I forgot to change that one. But everything, yeah, it's funny because I like I said, I was rushing through this, but. What's interesting is I released it fairly unfinished, and I shouldn't have. I should have at least put a Bin Laden bad guy. The one that you have, the version you're playing, is the full version. But when it was first released in February of 2002, it was only 3 levels, and it ended with just it faded out and was like it gave some description of like you fighting Bin Laden and finding him and beating him up. But it was a big faux pas in game making that I didn't at least just have like a floating Bin Laden head or something that you fight, but we fixed that a few months later. I went in and I actually it had such a following among the Duke community, the Duke modding community, that some folks came in and and put they made extra levels, and so I included the 3 levels from the community that were in this version that you're playing. So now it's 6 levels, and then I made a cave where you go in, and it's got a big sign that says "Not the cave where Osama Bin Laden is hiding," and you go in and you fight Bin Laden. He's like a little midget or something, and he dies very easily. But it was no, I don't remember what it was. I think you do fight him like a boss. It was some challenges. I set his hits pretty high. So no, you lob a few rockets at him, and then it fades out, and that's the end. But
oh, chain gun, cool. Had to go up on top of the boxes to find that one.
Yeah, it's a it's a pretty silly game. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it. And I had so much fun meeting folks in the that were playing it, enjoying it, helping to mod it as well. In fact, it's still somebody made a mod of my mod recently. Some guy in Russia sent me an email and was like, "Hey, I've modified your game. Here's the link." And I was like, like, should I download it? but I downloaded it. Sure enough, it was legit, and he had modified. He added, it was like a whole new episode, and it was totally cool to see that. Like what the heck? Here it is, 22 years later, and people are still playing it. At least a handful of people. It was really cool. I posted it. There's a Facebook group that I belong to that's got about 500,000 members. It's like MS-DOS games and computing or something like that. And they I posted a picture of it on there, and I was really surprised that a lot of people remembered it. And it's funny because one guy was like, "Is that the game where the bad guys say hummus, hummus, hummus instead of humma numma numma? They say hummus, hummus, hummus." And I was thinking, no, but if I had known that, if I had thought of that in 2002, I would have totally done that. Like, that would have been better.
When I first heard the guys going, oh wait,
I got that song stuck in my head.
I like that little thing you put in there when you're walking out of the cave at first, and he says, "Humma numma na." Oh, I got that song stuck in my head.
Yes, yeah. If you go up, there's a little radio there that's going humma numma la la la, humma numma la la la.
That's
great.
That's
their music.
That is fantastic. Oop. I had to restart on a lower difficulty. I'm not used to this yet.
It's really crappy. It's been 23 years since I almost and I forgot the cheat codes that I had programmed into it, because I had hacked the executable and changed the cheat codes from Duke Nukem, so people wouldn't know just the Duke codes, and it was. But I forgot it fairly quickly after I released the game. Like, what were the cheat codes that I changed it to? And yeah, it's lost. But I don't know. Maybe somebody knows how to hack the executable and can somehow go in there and find them. But I don't even remember how to do that. It was really, that was a long time ago.
This is fun though. I was about to say, I was hoping I'd find a med kit. That was a pain.
Yeah, I got it hidden there. I made it pretty challenging. Yeah, it was.
I make it past the semi truck going into that one cave, and I'm sucking horribly.
Yeah.
I'm having fun though. This is a challenge.
Yeah, the second level is pretty. It's just clearing. I didn't make it quite as mazy, unfortunately. I made it to where you have to just go to the different buildings and destroy and kill the bad guys. But you could speed race that one in under 30 seconds if you want to just run to the end. But then it's not fun. It's like, hey, you gotta.
Yeah.
You got. I like I said, I was rushing to finish this game, and yeah, if I had it to do over, I would have spent a little more time. The third level is a little more in depth and linear, but the it's in the palace is pretty fun. You got to gather the keys, and that's where you find in his basement the Duke Nukem Forever boxes where they've been hiding. And,
in the little warehouse thingy.
Yeah. So it's. I'm trying to think what else. There was another level that was we're going through kind of a forest. that was made by one of the fans of the game.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun. I love first-person shooters. They're still my favorites as
me
far as
too.
the genre of games. That and point and click adventures are the other, which is kind of the opposite of the game feel.
Yeah, like
You got
Day of the Tentacle and.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm wearing actually a LucasArts shirt right now.
I noticed that towards the beginning, and I forgot to mention that. That's
yeah, it's
sweet.
got all the characters on it. It's got Indiana Jones. It's got Guybrush Threepwood and Ben and Sam and Max. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was my favorite company growing up. LucasArts. They made so many just fantastic games. Just really a good company.
Yeah, I ended up playing this on the easiest difficulty because I'm being a wuss.
But I don't remember how much the difficulty actually affected things. To be honest, I don't know.
Quite a bit.
Okay, good. So I did put that in there.
Yeah, on the easiest difficulty, you have maybe half as many enemies, and when they shoot you, it only takes off 4 or 5 health points. On the medium, it takes 25% if they open fire on you.
Ah.
So yeah, that made it a challenge, but I'm not complaining. That was really good. Okay, so now I'm a little lost. I'm in the
Oh, you gotta jump up on the you'll see some rocks that's kind of caved in the back, and you jump through that.
Oh, okay, I see. I was going the wrong way. I was thinking there was maybe a door hidden in that brick wall. I see. Okay, there's a palm tree. And a sign that says Humanuma. Oh, I guess that's the end of the episode.
Yes.
Cool. Completed. Press any key to continue. Par time, 1:45 seconds. Oh, I doubled that. 3 minutes 23.
I don't remember how accurate that was, if I had actually updated the file to reflect actual par times.
Let's see.
In that, yeah.
Yeah, your time 3:23, par time 1:45, American time 2:43.
American time.
Enemies killed 7, enemies left 7. I missed a couple. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh, I hear some guy. Now, could you climb the ladders in this game, or?
No, they added that to build, I think might have been in Blood. I remember seeing it later in one of the build engine games, but I don't remember which one it was. It wasn't in Duke yet, and it's not in mine.
Okay, but no, this is really good. This is really good. Okay, can I break the windows? Oh, bummer. Oh well.
Yes, you should be able to break. Oh, maybe not. I think because the thing is upstairs in those things too. They aren't. I don't remember how. I think they're just sprite floors because they didn't have in build. You couldn't put at the time levels over levels to make a 2-story.
Oh, I like the shotgun.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like I said, that's Duke's.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh.
Yeah, I left that. I don't know how I
Speaking
forgot
of
to change that.
Dukes, it looks like that one terrorist was just in the middle of taking one when I found him.
Yeah, it was fun. Those what's it called, the barracks rather, are just a copy of some army barracks of how they're laid out, the old army barracks.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm trying to think what else little hidden Easter eggs I put in it, but it was full of little one-liners and just humorous, silly nonsense. And I did the same thing in Quest for Saddam when we did that.
You made the urinals be able to explode and spray water like in Duke. Very nice.
Yeah, I think they are the Duke urinals actually. And if your health is low, you could go up and drink the water, and it'll increase your health.
Oh yeah, you can. 1 point at a time, but hey, that's better than nothing.
It's very realistic, real to life. If you're feeling bad, just go drink some toilet water.
Isn't that what Bill Gates is trying to make people do?
I think so. Eat crickets and stuff. Although I don't know. In the army, they taught us. So we went through a little brief course about survival, and I remember they were like, crickets are just full of nutrients. And pretty much every bug.
Now, do the different colored shirt guys have different health levels, or are they all
No.
the same? Oh,
No,
I
it's just mix things up a bit.
Turned around the corner to go in the bathroom.
See if I can remember the cheat codes. We could jump to different levels, but.
Oh, there's some armor. I could have used that if I'd known that was there. I went right past it last time. Now, did you put crosshairs in this?
You press I for the crosshair.
Oh, thank you.
But it auto aims for the most part.
It does auto aim?
That was a good thing that they had programmed in already in Duke.
Okay. Where did you get the music for this?
Random websites. Again, I wasn't really worried at the time about copyrights and that kind of stuff. It was just like, hey, let me find some open source, whatever I could find, and so I just Googled like Middle East MIDIs or something like that. It wasn't even Google at the time. I think it was Alta Vista. Yeah, it was. Alta Vista at the time. Was that a thing? I don't think it was a verb yet. But,
I'm not sure. I know Google started in what, 1998 or something?
Yeah, but I was still on Alta Vista. I was using that a lot, and I remember there's Alta Vista, Web Crawler, Yahoo. Those were the big ones.
Oh, there's the
late
sword.
90s.
I found the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you pick it up, he does go arr.
Arr.
Actually, works pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any ammo. Bummer. Yeah,
You know, this game. Go ahead.
It reminds me of the Muppets. Phenomena.
Oh yes.
Phenomena.
You know, it's funny that you're not. That came up too when I was watching that with one of my boys when he was little, and I realized it. Humma numma numma. Do 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 do. Humma numma numma. Yeah, and we were thinking the same thing. Mana mana.
It's like
yeah,
it's like if there's this guy on YouTube who does videos of this little Yoda puppet, and he says some words kind of like that. Like when he says the word banana, he's funny. He says, "For a snack today, eat banana. I will." Oh, I just heard one say, "Praise Bin Laden." We can't have that.
Praise Bin Laden. Humma numma numma.
Hum.
Prepare for jihad. Prepare for jihad.
And I do not have any ammo, unfortunately.
Oh no. I think I just run to the end.
Oh, I just died again.
Ugh.
Oh, let's see. Now, did the cheat codes for Duke Nukem work in this, or did you have to change those?
No, it's unfortunately they don't work. Yeah, it's.
I wonder if someone put them online somewhere.
Yeah, I searched around a little bit. It's a yeah, it would be yeah, it's just such an old game, and I remember I posted them somewhere, but I mean it's lost. I mean this was 23 years ago, 22 years ago. Unless somebody, like I said, has if they know the ability to hack it, it's inside the executable itself is the place. So I'm sure if I asked Ken Silverman, he'd be able to get into it and find it and solve that mystery.
Okay.
But that's a good idea.
Yeah, I ended
Yeah,
up
him and I have connected on Facebook, and we've kept in touch throughout the years.
Yeah, I ended up.
I've never met him in person.
I ended up just speed running through the level. There we go. Now I'm in level 3. Oh, this is cool. Now let's see. I see a rider truck. Did you put any hidden areas into this?
Yeah, I don't remember where they are though. and unfortunately, I don't know the cheat code for unveiling the entire map. It's like, yeah, it was 18 when I made this. But it was interesting too. After that MSNBC interview, I said in the interview I'm looking for a job, and I got a call from some executive or an email from some executive at Microsoft that said, "Hey, how about you go work for Xbox?" and we'll hire you up. But I was like, what? Like, this is awesome. So I got my first and last taste of corporate life that only lasted a few weeks. It was ridiculous. He sent an email to somebody that was like, hey, hire this kid up. I never met the guy. He was just some executive. And so they assigned me to some team. I moved all the way up to Redmond, and
Wow.
they brought me up there. I'm 18, no experience, and I get there on the first day of work, and the guy who was my boss didn't seem happy to see me, and he was like, I told them we don't need anyone else on our team, but you're here, so whatever. And I'm like, wow, what a welcome. And
Yeah.
and then he wouldn't assign me a computer, and that was like, I was like, how am I gonna work without an Xbox development kit? Like, you needed the XDK was the name of the computer, and he was like, you'll share with that guy at his workstation. And the guy was like, I don't want to share. It was just totally, it was ridiculous. There I was wandering around for a couple weeks, and they did set me up with some email computer or something. It was just not, it was not one of the workstations, but it was, I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And they wouldn't give me any assignments. They had, that first week, I remember, they held some meeting that they didn't tell me about, and it was just like I was, and then somebody from HR told me to meet them downstairs, and they asked me. They were like, well, we decided to let you go, and I'm like, what do you mean let me go? I like, how do you do that? And they said, well, you're not
here.
Yeah, they were like, you're not even an employee of Microsoft, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not an employee of Microsoft. They said, check your pay stub, and sure enough, because they didn't give me a real reason, they were like, we don't need a reason. You're an at will or whatever contractor, and I was like, oh crap. So they. Sure enough, my pay stub didn't say Microsoft on it, and it was like, and they actually got, a few years later, they had a big class action lawsuit for that kind of stuff, because they were doing it all the time apparently, where they were hiring people as contract workers and then just letting them go for no reason. And it was, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it could have been saved, but at the same time, I went in there with kind of this attitude of like, yeah, I'm the game developer, and just kind of a little cocky. But I'm an 18-year-old kid. Everybody was twice my age on the team, and it didn't work out. But yeah, that was a few months later. I started making quests for Saddam. After that.
Now, were you the only one who worked on this title, or did you have some help or collaborators? Other
than the people who generously. Allowed me to rip their graphics and sounds. It was all me.
Yeah, I always wanted to make a game on the build engine, but I never.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it was all me. Yeah, it was because I did have after I released it was all me for the first version, and then I had there were some fans of the game that made some additional levels, as I mentioned. They were both in the Netherlands. Both of the guys that made them. Incidentally, they didn't even know each other. And so yeah, two Dutch guys.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying this. This is fun. This is very, very well done.
Thank you.
I'm definitely gonna have some fun playing through this one. But yeah, this is actually. This level in particular, I'm very impressed by the way you had the water and the little fountain, and then to get to the next part of that level, you have to go in the water and go through that little tunnel underground. That was really good. It took me.
Thanks.
Because
Yeah, I think that was I put a little bit into that. Yeah, I remember that was challenging too, getting through that cave after the water.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
because it's kind of dark, and that's one thing is I made it where they're hiding in their dark, where it's dark and they're shooting at you, and it's kind of hard to see.
Oh, you do have the brightness level still in there with F11. I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, it's gonna have all the same Duke keys for the most part.
This is really, really good. And the thing I like about it is it doesn't. It's like an old DOS shooter. It doesn't mollycoddle the player. It's get in there, shoot everything, and get out fast and collect as much as you can.
And it's got to be keyboard only. I don't like people that play those games with the mice.
No,
you aren't playing it with the mice, are you?
No, I don't. Unless it's a new game, yeah, I'll use WASD and the mouse. But DOS titles, control shoots, spacebar opens, A jumps, and arrow keys for movement. And then home for look up, end for look down, and pig up and pig down for readjusting your focus. I don't like using the mouse in DOS titles. It just feels wrong to me.
Yep.
But yeah, very, very well done, man.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was it's a fun trip down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like the little splash screen you have at the end with the American flag. The 51st star is Lake Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's the jokes of an 18-year-old kid. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for having me on your show.
No
yeah,
problem,
good luck with
man.
your channel, and yeah, I've got I'm having fun, and yeah, you can check out my channel at TechJesse, and yeah, I'll be posting stuff too, and hopefully our channels will grow together.
Absolutely. For final thoughts, closing remarks, if there was anything about the game that you would have liked to add or change or not put in, anything you would have liked to do differently, what would they have been?
Yeah, I mean there were a couple jokes that were just a little bit more crude that are funny to an 18-year-old that are not so much to a 40-year-old, but but overall, I mean, it's satire at the end of the day. It's not anything beyond that, and it was really just I mean I was frustrated after 9/11 like everyone else, and it was just my form of artistic expression of just having fun and cathartically blasting Taliban, and it was and Al Qaeda, and it was really I don't know. I never expected it to go beyond my friends and a handful of people playing it. I didn't think that 22 years later it would still be downloaded occasionally and talked about.
I had heard of it before, like I talked to you and played it, but I never tried it because I was like, oh, I've got so many games I gotta do right now. I need to hold off and get these done first. But I was like, you know what? I want to try out some more build engine games. So I was like, well, I'm gonna try this out. But yeah, it was very, very good, man. Very,
awesome.
Very good.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, John.
Alrighty, man.
Nice talking with you.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. See you later.
Catch you later.